Allyson and Wes Felix. They've broken nearly every world record. Allyson is the most decorated female track and field athlete in Olympic history. Let me repeat that. The most decorated female track and field athlete in Olympic history.
How many Team USA fans do we have? There it is. Okay. Allyson, Wes, thank you so much for being here. As John alluded to, obviously you guys have accomplished a lot in your lives, in your personal lives, in your professional lives, and I'm so grateful that you both could join us here today. And I know we're going to get to your fund and talk a little bit about what you guys are doing there, what you're looking for, and from an investment standpoint, maybe some LPs in this room can get excited about what you guys are building, because I know that I am. But specifically, I want to start growing up. And when I think about Wes, your career, I mean, a Pac-10 champion in your own right, in the 100, the 200. Obviously, Allyson and your accolades speak for themselves. Wes, what was it in your home that inspired you guys? Maybe it was from your parents who were educators. What was it that you learned from them that allowed you guys to pursue excellence?
Yeah, I think it's such a great question, because I think about it a lot of, looking at Allyson especially and just thinking, like, how did we get here? We're just two kids from LA, from the Crenshaw district, which I didn't realize until recently it's South Central LA, which I think like our parents intentionally left that out to I don't know, so we wouldn't get picked on at school. But our parents are unbelievably disciplined, and I think that there was an expectation for discipline. I remember, my junior year of high school, had to wake up at 4:15, and we were in the car by 5 to get to school, and that it was just kind of normal, and it was what was expected. So I would say that's what they really taught us, was discipline. And now they look at us now, and our mom, not so much our dad, but our mom she'll look and she's like, I just get so worried you guys are working too much. and I always tell her, I'm like, where do you think we learned this from? Like, you sleep 4 hours a night and you had kids, it's crazy. So yeah, that's what they really passed on, was the discipline.
I'm curious, maybe there was a point where there was adversity in your career, and a point where maybe you could share a story at where discipline helped you overcome some adversity, and maybe a moment where you were going to quit, and what did you do to move forward?
Yeah, a really great question. I feel like throughout a lot of my career, I've had a lot of different adversity, whether it was like overcoming an injury or just a hardship of being kind of like in a place where I needed to break through and kind of get over a hump. But I think definitely when I decided to start a family, that was a huge point of adversity for me. And just finding a way through it, realizing that I don't have to do things just the way that they've been done before, that I can break out of that I can pursue things differently really helped. And just knowing that it was a very humbling experience, I think, having a child and coming back to sport, and knowing that it's just one foot in front of the other, giving myself grace and giving myself time to get back. So the discipline definitely helped to stick with it. But yeah, it's one point.
Well, Wes, you and I were talking a number of weeks ago, and we were spending some time, and I was trying to ask about Allyson and some of her career, and she just talked about how she retired. But you and I were discussing a moment where she kind of came out of retirement. You were retired, the world champions just were up in Eugene, and the team needed somebody to come in. And they made a phone call, and you roll off the couch, and you go up to Eugene, and you run, and you help the team win. Wes, talk about that process that you went through and your sister, that journey to kind of say, I got more in the tank, and I'm curious from your perspective what you saw your sister give in that moment.
It was a really emotional time, the end of her career, this point where she's finally saying, like, okay, I did all I needed to do, I'm hanging it up. And it was really emotional for her, it was emotional for me, our parents, like the whole thing. Her daughter was not emotional at all, she just wanted popcorn. I was like, this is a big deal, and she's like, it's loud in here. But then, Allyson runs her last race, she heads back home. She's literally eating chicken wings, literally. And I hear, sounds like the relay team is gonna need her. And I was like, oh man. And so I told her coach, you can call her. And so coach called her, and he wasn't quite as probably empathetic as I was, but he said, the team needs you. And he didn't say you have to. He just said the team needs you, and I think the part of it, you're asking, like, what did I see in her at that moment? Like, what I saw the most was a commitment to other people, not to herself. She had already there was nothing she was gonna get from it. It didn't matter for her, like, whether it was 30 career medals or 31 career medals, it doesn't make a difference, but there were other people on that team, this was gonna be their first. It was gonna be maybe their only, but to like cut her retirement short and come back that soon for everyone else, I think it was seeing that. And then the other part was you have the most decorated US Olympian of all time in track and field, and you ask them to come out of retirement and you're not even gonna let them run in the final round. But for her to be willing to do that for her teammates so that they could win a medal and that the team could win a medal, yeah, I don't think I've ever told you, but it's something I really admire as well.
I would love for you to talk about, and you alluded to it, what you did with Nike. There was a moment where Nike decided to maybe not pay you what you were deserving of and cut your salary back because you were pregnant. You decided to not just, you decided to fight back a little bit.
Yeah.
You decided to fight back a little bit and make some noise and fight for all the female athletes that are out there that battle and wrestle with this idea, should I or shouldn't I get pregnant? How is this going to impact my career? And you fought back in a way so much so that Nike completely changed their policy and other companies that followed suit. So amazing. Give us the why, though. Give us the perspective of the why behind that. What drives you to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was really just, I think over the course of that time, a lot had changed for me. While we were going through all those negotiations and all that hardship, I ended up having my daughter. And I think that gave me the courage because I'm looking at this baby and it's like, there's no way that I'm gonna allow you and your generation to go through this. This is a fight that I have to take on. And it was terrifying and really scary. But it goes back to that deep belief. I think when you believe in something and you know it's the right thing to do, sometimes you have to go for it. And I think, I'm not sure how you feel, it's probably very extremely risky, probably not the best timing. But I told Wes, like, this is something I just have to do. And I don't know what's on the other side of this. And I knew that I still wanted to compete. I knew I was still capable. And I just knew that there was more. But I knew I couldn't do it there. I knew that I had to stand up for what I believed in. And I think it's really amazing and beautiful what happened after that, after parting ways and, being able to create our company, Saysh. And I had no inkling of that at the time when we were when we were in the trenches of it. But I think that, sometimes things come together when you do step out on that faith and go after what you believe in.
You know what, let's change gears because I know we're going to run up short on time. There's so many other things that we want to talk about. But, again, you guys are transitioning now from your career into the business world. You now are sitting at the business table, and you guys launched a new company. Talk a little bit about the origin story, about the shoe, the lifestyle brand, and all that you're trying to accomplish here. And then we'll talk about the fund as well.
Yeah, sounds good. So after we went through the whole ordeal, parting ways with Nike, I knew that I still wanted to compete. I knew that I was still capable. I knew that there was still more left. And so at this point, I've gone to 4 Olympics, and I'm just frustrated because I don't have a footwear sponsor. And as a sprinter, to not have shoes to wear in the Olympics,
kind of an important thing.
It's kind of a problem. So Wes and I were just chatting, and basically I was venting to him and telling him just how tired I was and just feeling defeated that I'm begging these companies to see my worth and my value. And it just seems like I'm not, getting anything from that. And he looks at me and he's like, well, what if we just did this ourselves? And I thought, I thought you were crazy.
She was right.
I mean, he always has these big dreams and visions, but it was the more that I really heard you and the more that I sat with it that I understood, no, here is an amazing opportunity that we can actually be the ones creating the change instead of asking someone else to do that. And so we created Saysh, a lifestyle brand for women. And I think what we thought we were doing was, creating shoes for me to wear in the Olympics, and maybe other women would want to support that as well. But what we learned once we got down that path was that shoes haven't been made for women. And a shoe is made off of a last, which is essentially just a mold of a foot. And it's been the mold of a man's foot used to make women's sneakers. And I was appalled by that. And I thought, here's an opportunity where, our company, we design our shoes for and by women. And, even bigger than the shoes and all of that is just our mission, and that women want to stand with us, and it's about worth and value. And it's been a really incredible ride.
Last time we spoke, you quickly corrected me that the shoe is not just for females, Ryan. It's also men can wear it. Wes has got a pair on.
Yeah. I just gently told you that I've been wearing men's shoes all of my life.
It was aggressive. I was scared.
I told you she can be a little scared.
I saw a little bit. I tightened up. But no, it is. One of the things that you touched on, again, this idea of mission, impact. Again, this is a theme in your life of how you're thinking about others and finding ways to make a difference. And again, an amazing journey that you're on with this company. And yet, there's more. and when you think about the impact and the opportunity you have with Crenshaw Ventures, Wes, tell us a little bit about the origin of the stories around that. Why are you guys launching a fund, and what is the goal of the fund?
Yeah, so we're starting Crenshaw Ventures, and we called it Crenshaw because it's our neighborhood at home. It's the place where I think a lot of people never really get to leave. They certainly don't make it to rooms like this too often. And so for us, it's, how do we keep that part of home close to us, but then also how do we make sure we go back into our neighborhood and create new opportunities for other people? And I wish I could tell you well, and then after we finished HBS, and then I was working at this bank for that long, and then, but that's not it. What we saw was when we were raising for Saysh, we didn't like what we saw. And so we felt like there should be something better. And we wanted to create the place that we would have liked to have gone, and then to treat our founders the way that I think we would have hoped we could have been treated. And that wasn't across the board. We have a lot of great investors, but I would say that, something that we consistently ran into was people not listening at all. They did not want to hear what we were doing. They already knew what we were doing before we ever started. And they told us very quickly as they rudely interrupted during pitches and said, well, what about this? What about that? And it's, again, everyone's very limited on time. But I think that what we want to build is something where people can feel seen and actually heard. And that doesn't mean you have to invest in it. But I think it is, this place where you can really know that what you're saying, there's someone on the other end that's listening. So.
Well, I know we're out of time, but thank you both for sharing your heart and sharing your vision and sharing the stories about everything that make you who you are. And I'm so grateful to call you friends, and can't wait to continue to see you thrive and continue to pursue excellence in your life. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.